Hello everyone, welcome to my grammar lesson. I am Mrs. Pınar. Today I am going to teach you comparative and superlative. Let's jump in. The subject of comparative superlative is one of these confused subjects. However, it's a very simple and fun object to understand. It is enough to know some tricks to understand the rules and usage. So, let's examine the comparative superlative lecture and examples together. The meaning of the word comparative comes from the verb compare. The word compare means to compare. Comparative adjectives are defined as comparative adjectives. Comparative adjectives, they are used to compare and contrast more than one person, object, animal, in short, anything with less than one. At this point, the important thing is to compare two things with each other about a subject, to give a meaning that one is more than the other. Example, a child tells a friend, "My father is stronger than your father." It means that the fathers of two children are compared in terms of power. Comparative is needed to construct such sentences. My father is stronger than your father. Comparative sentence formation formula. The basic formula you need to follow for the use of comparative is as follows. Subject, verb, and adjective, and then plus object. This is the formula of comparative. The order of the elements of your sentences should be like this. Here are a few simple rules that you should follow when describing your adjective in this formula. If your adjective is short, that is, if it has one syllable, the adjective er is added to the end of the adjective. Longer, bigger, smaller, like this. If your adjective is short, that is, it has two syllables but ends with the letter e, I, the letter I is dropped and er is added to the end of the adjectives, like happy, happier. Okay? If your adjective is long, that is, if it has two or more syllables, the adjective is not suffixed. The word more comes before the adjective. Exercise more like this, more expensive. Let's look at together the sentences. John is taller than Jane. Taller. That film was nicer than this. Nicer. This is more popular than his friend. He is more popular than his friend. More popular. This car is more expensive than the other one. More expensive. A stone is bigger than a pebble. Bigger. Summer is hotter than winter. A cat is slower than a cheetah. Mr. Smith is older than Mr. John. Use of superlatives now. The meaning of the word superlative comes from the word super. This word, which means superlative, helps to define the superlative adjectives as superlative adjectives. Superlative adjectives express comparison just like comparative adjectives. However, there is a distinct difference between them. Superiority adjectives, it does not compare two things, but one thing relative to everything else. They indicate how superior a person, object, or animal is to all other things. So, that's important about the superlative is how something compares to everything else about a subject. Not more like comparative has the best condition. Example, to recap the two children just now, my father is the strongest person in this world. The child who says compares his father to everything else in the world in terms of power and considers him superior. To construct such a sentences, the subject of superlative is needed. My father is the strongest person in the world. Superlative sentence formation formula. The basic formula you need to follow for the use of superlative is follows. Subjects plus verb plus the adjective plus object. The order of the elements of your sentence should be like this. Here are a few simple rules that you should follow when describing your adjective in this formula. If your adjective is short, that is, if it has one syllable, the adjective est is added to the end of the adjective. Like this, longest, biggest, smallest. Like this. If your adjective is short, that is, it has two syllables but ends with the letter E. The letter E is dropped and the est is added to the end of the adjective. Like this, happy, happiest. If your adjective is long, that is, if it has two more syllables, the adjective is not suffixed, the adjective is predicted by the word most. The most expensive, like this. Let's look together some examples. She is the prettiest girl I have ever seen. Mount Everest is the highest mountain in the world. This must be the hottest day of the year. He is the most intelligent boy in the class. Health is the most important thing. This car is the fastest car. This chair is the most comfortable chair. that's all. And at the end of our lesson, I have one note. Clever, quiet, simple, and narrow adjectives add suffix according to both monosyllabic adjective and polysyllabic adjective rules in comparative and superlative usage. Cleverest, the most cleverest, or clever, more clever. Note 2. Adjectives bad, good, and far are exceptions to the rules. It is necessary to memorize their comparative and superlative forms. Good, better, the best, bad, worst, the worst, little, less, the least, far, farther, further, superlative form, the farthest, furthest. Let's look together the exercise. My new motorbike is much blah blah my old one. My new motorbike is much faster than my older one. Okay? I think Laura is blah blah Paul's previous girlfriend. Pretty. I think Laura is prettier than Paula's previous girlfriend. Sue's clothes are more fashion. Sue's clothes are more blah blah mine. Fashionable. Sue's clothes are more fashionable than mine. Yes. I'm blah blah in my family. Young. I'm the youngest in my family. The new restaurant is one of blah blah in town. Cheap. The new restaurant is one of the cheapest in town. Daniel is boy I have ever met. Nice. Daniel is the nicest boy I have ever met. I think that the books is much blah blah the film. Good. I think that the book is much better than the film. Maths is blah blah subject for me. Difficult. Maths is the most difficult subject for me. Stuart is blah blah boy at school. Clever. Stuart is the cleverest boy at school. Mary is blah blah her sister. She never does her homework. Lazy. Mary is lazier than her sister. She never does her homework. We stayed at blah blah hotel in Madrid. Expensive. We stayed at the most expensive hotel in Madrid. Our old car was blah blah or new one. Slow. Our old car was slower than our new one. Our neighbors are blah blah in the building. They are always fighting, noisy. Our neighbors are the noisiest in the building. They are always fighting. That's blah blah night of the year long. That's the longest night of the year. He was a bit sad yesterday, but he looks blah blah today happy. He was a bit sad yesterday, but he looks happier today. This supermarket is blah blah the one next to my house big. The supermarket is bigger than the one off to my house. Alice's bike is blah blah my brother's. Neve. Alice's bike is newer than my brother's. Who is the blah blah animal in the world? The cheetah. Fast. Who is the fastest animal in the world? The cheetah. My mom is the blah blah woman in the world. Pretty. My mom is the prettiest woman in the world. George's trousers are much dirtier. George's trousers are much blah blah mine dirty. George's trousers are much dirtier than mine. Jim is blah blah boy at school. Fat. Jim is the fattest boy at school. That's all. Thank you.